Hello. All right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will call the August meeting of the Northport Village Council to order. Let the roll call show that all current trustees are present and accounted for. We have some meeting minutes to approve from July 6th, 17th, 19th, 24th, and 25th.
The first factory meeting, I sense, Joni, that you've started using, instead of using gender pronouns, you're using they for everybody. It took me a while to realize you're doing that. I guess that's good. I would like to ask that we try to refer to people on first reference with both their first and last names. There are some places here where there are no first names, including on page 3, Mr. Mansfield from the Mansfield Land Use Consultants. I don't remember what his first name was, but Douglas. So just to add, on first reference first names.
Also on page 3, at the very end of the page in the discussion of the welcome sign agreement, we were missing a last name for Tom Woodruff.
Yeah.
Volunteered to. Okay, back to you, Susan.
And then on page 5, in the middle of the page, there's board of trustees sort of hanging out there.
Okay, I need to back up to page 4.
Oh.
Under the office assistant, we just repeated, it says to approve the office assistant. So we need to take out the 2 words that we duplicated.
Okay.
And Susan pointed out on page 5, the word trustee, under the planning commission, the president or the chair and secretary were elected, not appointed. They were appointed to the planning commission, but the commission was elected.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I've got one on page 6 also, under the solar parklet.
Yeah.
It was donated by Leelanau Energy. Not the Village Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Leelanau Energy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the final sentence, the council agreed to the relocation and discussed the process of officially giving the solar parklet to the township.
Okay.
On the document for July 9th,
You want to do one?
okay, approve these.
Yeah. So anything else for the 6th? No? All right, all in favor of approving the July 6th motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Those are approved. Next we'll move on to the 17th.
I have nothing on the 17th.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving July 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No nays. Okay.
19th, motion to approve. You got one?
Second, but I've got a couple things on that.
Okay.
Christy Fisher's last name is spelled incorrectly. It should be Fischer. On 19.
Yeah, probably have that.
And I think she's referred to a few times. And since the July 24th minutes refer to comments by Trustee Harper in the previous meeting, I think we should include those comments in the previous meeting's minutes in some way.
So we can wait on them until the next meeting to approve them if you'd like. The 24th, that is.
So you can revise it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Then you have time to pull it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that would be fine.
Okay.
So we're gonna wait on the 19th or
Yep.
the 24th?
19th, I think.
The 19th. Or no, I'm sorry. It is the 24th.
No, it's referred to in the 24th, the comments are referred to in the
There's just
minutes
too
of the
many
24th.
minutes.
But they're not
They're
referred
not in the
to
19th.
in the 19th.
Okay. I will add that, and then you can review.
Motion to approve July 24th.
Second.
Any, nothing else? No discussion? All right, all in favor of approving July 24th, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays.
25th, the Fisher meetings, those go along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, so,
And then,
I should have known better.
and then one thing there's the sentence in which Christie is mentioned. I don't remember trustee Harper's suggesting that Mr. Dyer might command a higher salary.
Oh, yeah.
I
I said
remember
that.
him, I remember him
He did.
saying we should offer him the highest.
I didn't say we should, I said I would support. I said I would support offering Christie at the lowest advertised salary and Mr. Dyer at the highest.
Yes, but I don't remember you stating it as if he might cost more and she might cost less.
That's what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anything else for the 25th? No?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, next up, approval of agenda, any amendments or additions?
I had one suggestion. This is for chat, and on 1 and 2, you might want to switch those. We should do the manager ordinance before we,
Makes sense.
Okay.
so that's the only thing I have.
All right, so all in favor of, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Will we approve the agenda for the August 3rd meeting?
All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right, agenda is set with the amendments. All right, next up, we have our first public comment. I'd just like to remind everybody in the public that public comment is limited to 5 minutes. And please state your name and your address of residency for the record. So I would recognize anyone here in person or on Zoom if they would like to make a public comment. Okay, I'm not seeing any takers on public comment, so we will move on from that to our correspondence.
So I have provided you with the council with two correspondence. One is from Claire Gangarelli, I think that's how you pronounce the last name, or Gangarelli.
It's Gangarelli.
Gangarelli, yeah, regarding drainage on Wakazoo. And the second one is a grant opportunity and some information there from Trudy Gala. Thought that we could discuss in finance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up, we have our staff reports, potential actions, starting with the clerk.
So you have my report in front of you, along with our bill sheet is at the back of the meeting minutes, just so everyone has had a chance to take a look at that. As you can see, waterways, actually, I was notified finally after several attempts to reach out to them about our first reimbursement that was approved back at the end of June. And I was given the email that, oh, it was an accident that they had put the reimbursement payment scheduled for 45 days. So we will receive that tomorrow, and then I can submit the next one immediately. So we're kind of in a cash flow, just waiting for money to come back in, and we'll be whole again, so, yeah. Okay. Any questions that I can?
Pretty nice birthday present coming in.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, why did the total project cost come in $70,000 lower than, it's just,
That is because of the fact that there was supposed to be a wall, training wall, and the state was not in support of the training wall.
Oh.
So once the training wall was removed, and there were a few other.
Remove the gravel parking lot
Mhm.
from the green area.
okay,
So, yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions for Joni? All right, thanks, Joni.
Mhm.
Move on to treasurer, deputy clerk Cindy.
All right, you have my report, and to date, I've collected a little less than 20% of the taxes, so between now and the 14th of September, it should be busy. Any questions?
All right, hearing no questions for Cindy, we'll move on to DPW. Chris?
Yes, everybody has my report in their packet. Only thing I want to add to that is that just this morning received from the Tri-County or Benzie Glenlaw Health Department that our beaches are very clean this year. So it's nice. We're on the lower scale throughout the county. And I've been working with contractors, a couple of tree contractors on the MDOT M201. We have quite a few dead trees along this corridor. I can include that in my report, but we are lining up to get rid of some of these, I would say, risky trees, working with MDOT, and I'm kind of the go-between for the tree removal contractors. So something that we should be seeing hopefully after Labor Day. So, and we have, well, I'll say that for infrastructure. Any questions?
Oh, one question, the repair on the slides,
We have that on the agenda,
okay, we'll talk about it later.
isn't it? It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
second
okay.
page.
Oh, okay, yeah, so, sorry. I thought it was there earlier.
Anything else for Chris? All right, thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Marina, Bill?
There we are. Okay. You have my report. Couple of things I will note real quickly. Boat traffic is down this summer. Not significantly, not substantially, but it's noticeable. We have nights that are busy, but generally across the board, it's traffic is down. Requests for nights for stays at the marina are down, and it's not just us. It's everywhere on the bay and on the lake, and it's not just marinas. I've heard of reports of resort traffic down. It's kind of everybody. Who maybe got used to a couple of years of craziness, and we're kind of back to what's sort of normal for what we should look for. And the other thing I'm going to mention that's not in my report, our landscaper and a gardener, Brad, noticed a couple of people in the parking lot picking rocks out of the water retainment area, all those nice round river rocks that are in there, and hauling them away. So he told them that really those were not for collectors, and they couldn't take them. But for anybody listening, those rocks kind of need to stay there. They're not for you to take home. It's for your garden.
We need couple little friendly signs.
No,
The rocks.
I don't know.
I think you need a sign, don't take the rocks, but
That'll just encourage them.
Yeah.
right.
Right, well, I'm glad Brad spoke up.
Yeah, I am too. And if there's, the other thing I quickly mentioned, we have had a couple more incidents at the marina this past month. All in total this year, 5 people have fallen off their boats into the marina this summer. My previous 2 years, there were 0. So I don't know what's going on this year, but nobody has been terribly hurt, and there are no serious situations, but a lot of wet people. Yeah. That's what I have. If anybody has any questions,
I do. So based on, you sent us an email to Waterfront a little bit concerning the situation with music in the park and dock hands not wanting to work, and then I offered up a kid who would watch the bathrooms for what you were going to pay the dock hands if they don't want to do it, and I didn't get a reply back. Do you want, because I've got a couple other kids that would probably be willing to clean the park too after the music in the park and we wouldn't have to, go another way. So I'm just curious where we are with that.
Well, we've had a couple of meetings with the folks who run music in the park. Myself and Chet and Joni and somebody helped me out with the two ladies, Lisa and Joyce, yeah, Janet. What we have decided to do is go back to the way that it always has been and just sort of abandon the experiment. It was causing a lot of strife. I think, Will, I like your offer, and we should maybe chat about that later on, sort of outside the meeting, and chat about what direction that can go. I'd be happy to. Yeah. But we won't be monitoring music in the park. We won't be picking up garbage during the event and after the event, or cleaning the bathrooms. It would be wonderful to have somebody sort of guarding the boaters' bathrooms and directing people toward the public bathrooms. That would be a nice thing to be able to do. Funding money for it is an issue that we'd have to address.
So excuse me, Bill, but the experiment that you're abandoning was you and the dock hands cleaning up the trash and cleaning the bathrooms?
The night of, correct.
And the experiment failed because?
Kind of a long story. I think it failed because there was it seems like in order to do a proper cleanup, especially of the bathrooms, that cleanup would have to be, between 11 and 12 o'clock, because that's when people are finally done with the park. I mean, people linger for a couple of hours sometimes after the music wraps up. And what happened is we got into some disagreements with people later on, and of course, by that time in the evening, sometimes they're not in a state of mind where they're willing to accept discussions.
Yeah, being harassed or
The kids were being harassed, the dock hands?
Just as a point of discussion, I mean, and this is just to bring this out there for people to think about. I don't want to have a long discussion, but like if music in the park was a wedding and the wedding people left a mess, wouldn't the village either make them clean it up or bill them to clean it up? And so how much of this is on NAA, or how much of this is it a village event? Are we charging NAA anything for the pavilion? I don't know.
It's not NAA.
Pardon?
It's not NAA. It's the Northport Performing Arts.
No, sorry.
MTAC.
And yeah, okay, sorry. Anyway, that organization. And so I don't understand why this would be any different than a wedding, and just maybe we should think about that for a little better for next year. But, I contributed specifically to them this year, extra funds for cleanup. And for a minute, it didn't look like they were going to use it for that. So I don't know what's going on there, but I think we need to think about holding them to the same standard as anybody else who rents the pavilion. They have to leave it how they found it. And it should be on them to clean it up the next day. So, it doesn't have to be that night, but they got to get somebody, they got to hire their own person to get out there and do it. I don't know why the marina staff is doing this, or the village or the DPW is doing this on our dime, when, they're bringing in a lot of money for these. I don't know what their bottom line is. Maybe they're barely making it. I don't, that's not my deal.
A lot of information, if I can step in, a lot of information came out in these meetings, the past couple of meetings we had with the ladies. Part of it is a definition of what cleanup is. And, my definition of cleanup is all of the garbage is picked up and the park is clean. And I think their definition was not having bits of paper and cans sitting in the grass, but it's at least at the garbage receptacles. So, Will, you make some great points. More discussion is needed on this for certain.
Well, we don't need to do it tonight.
Just one quick, how late does the marina staff employees at the park? Because I think the big concern last year was that the garbages were overflowing during the concert. So is there somebody there till 8 o'clock that could at least do one sweep through to see that the garbages are empty, and then the last hour is sort of on our own? I'm not even sure what the hours are.
6 because of personnel, lack of personnel.
Okay.
So
Right,
the-
they're gonna start closing at 6 because of the lack of personnel.
Yeah, I mean, the marina right now is open until 8 o'clock. This is the last week we're open till 8. And then it'll be 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So could we have a dockhand make a swing through? That's possible. It would all kind of depend, Chris, on what the traffic was at the fuel service dock
Sure.
and boats coming in.
Yep.
It's clearly to be discussed, and Will, I think you raised some good points.
Waterfront can take it over. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else for Bill? All right, thanks, Bill.
Yep.
All right, next up, zoning administrator, Joni.
You have my report, with the driveways, lots of driveway permits, that's a good thing. And I don't know, Chris, if this is a good time to mention at all about the North Rose Street.
Formerly known as Northport.
Formerly known as North Rose. There is a section of Rose Street that comes off of 7th Street that the Village of Northport does own, and it's considered undeveloped, platted street. Okay. And there's a home going to be built just off of that street. And we've been working with the county because that road from Rose Street does not go all the way through. It cannot be Rose Street. They were looking at 7th Street, but kind of leaned on our street administrator for suggestions, and it was worked out. And Chris, you want to tell them what the new name is going to
Well,
be?
just we explained to the county that, we do have utilities there, water and sewer available. And confusion to have it as an address at 7th Street. We went around with that. There are reasons for emergency services identification. We had to rename it. So being that was the Calhoun subdivision, area, formed by Eric Calhoun, we landed on Calhoun Lane for that northern section. And
Sure.
subsequently, we contacted the new,
Property owners.
and they were fine with that. So the county seemed to give that also, so we'll proceed. We'll have to get into Act 51, and now I'll have to make a demonstration to the state on the Act 51 plat.
Yeah, that's an annual report, so he'll update that it's developed, so many feet of it is developed. And then the county updates the name.
Yep.
I have a question, Joni, about number 3.
But yeah,
This has been kicking around for a while, and I hear a lot of chatter about it on the street. But so I'd like to know what is going on there. And also, a month ago, you said you would be investigating, and in here you say you're going to be investigating. So what is to be investigated?
well, investigating, I guess, is the word that I'm using, that with having discussions with the property owners. What's going to be a good solution for the enforcement?
And what is the issue there?
The issue is parking of the food truck on the property, and the village's zoning ordinance clearly states that in a commercial property that you should be, your parking space should be 8 feet from a property line, especially adjoining residential.
Okay.
And that is commercial residential.
Yeah, not commercial, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
the-
commercial.
It's different
the-
than around the corner, which is C1.
That's correct.
So the food truck is too close to the
wall.
property.
It was not included with the original site plan. It's been noted to me that, we have, obviously around the corner in our core commercial, that was identified in their site plan, all of this. So we're just working, my investigation part is talking to both parties and seeing if we can come to a solution.
Thank you.
And I think reading between the lines, the formal complaint hadn't been made at the time of our last meeting.
That is correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a formal complaint has been made, and thus you are negotiating.
And I've sent out letters to both
Okay,
parties.
great, thank you.
Anything else for the ZA?
Is there any word on the hospital or anything that is happening there, or no?
I have not heard anything, but
Okay.
I can certainly speak to Trudy Gal about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what occurred to me, something that fell through the cracks completely was when the brick wall fell down up at the abandoned building of the part of the hospital, we were going to take action on that in terms of a blighted building, and that was years ago, and I think we just kind of forgot. Should we get that back on the radar?
He repaired it and he made it look better and cleared out all the old, or the previous owner.
I didn't notice he repaired.
Well, he did
Well, yeah, they
repair it.
were all
What he did
falling
is
off.
Cleaned it up.
he basically made it safe somewhat, but still, there's no fencing around it.
Yeah.
If you look at the old ambulance garage,
Yeah,
the trees growing out of it.
I agree.
Not good.
Last I spoke with Tree Gala from the county, she did mention that they were in line for a blight grant, and things were looking positive as far as them receiving that grant. I don't know what the deadline was for them receiving it, so.
That's what I just wanted to be sure, is there
Yeah.
something we need to do, because I don't know if it needs extra designation or a resolution from us or anything else, I just wanted to be sure if you had heard
I
anything.
would think that if we go much longer, we should probably, if that grant does fail and we don't see any action, we should probably look at dangerous buildings ordinance. Yeah.
Does somebody need to
With the
file a
new zoning
complaint?
administrator.
Does somebody need to file a complaint for the
No.
county to come out and look at it again, or?
No, it's a joint process, yeah. And we do have with our dangerous buildings, we have a process for that, yeah.
And have Third and Rose filed anything, or they haven't obviously yet? Spitznail.
Oh, no, nothing, no.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Joni. All right, we'll move on to our interim village manager, Chet.
Thank you. And I put a few things on the agenda, some of this update, so. So we'll start with item number 2, and that is the appropriate order. And I believe Mr. Dyer's on Zoom, so if he could unmute himself, and also we could see him, because number 1 and number 2 are linked together. So we'll start with number 2, which is village manager ordinance. If you look in your packet, you have a copy of the general law of Village Act of 1895, and that also relates to the budget year discussion that will be coming up. That's also the same 1895. But according to the act, which is still in place, it's actually the village president that has much of the authority in the village. However, the council does have the right to pass a village manager ordinance. So what you have in front of you, at the request of Mr. Dyer, and also this was drafted and approved by Mr. Hammersley, is the ordinance that basically creates the authority for the village to assign those duties from the village president to the village manager. I checked in the past, I don't believe the villages have done it in the past because it's way too.
Not a manager.
Yeah. So
Our administrator is similar to.
yeah, but
Yeah.
there's not been a village manager.
Not the-
Yeah, so in order to proceed, assuming you want a village manager, you have a draft ordinance for a village manager position that was suggested by Mr. Dyer and also approved by Mr.
Just in the first line of the ordinance, the words village and law were transposed. It's general law, village act. And the draft ordinance says general village law.
So do we need a motion to approve this? Because I have a couple of questions I want to ask about it, but I move that we approve the draft village manager ordinance.
As amended with the typo from Jane.
Then with the typo, and then I have another thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, I'll second your motion and then go ahead.
All right, moved by Susan, supported by Will, to approve the village manager ordinance discussion.
In the middle of the first page, item C, the manager need not be a resident of the village at the time of appointment, but must reside within Leelanau County within 180 days from the date of the appointment, with extensions permitted upon approval of the council. So that's 6 months, which strikes me as a long time. And I also thought we might, per the suggestion of Christy Fisher, when she sat before us for her interview, she suggested that the village manager live within, I think she said 25 miles.
That was actually in the
That's-
posting. Yeah, that was based on, I can address that
Oh,
part.
okay.
That was based on numerous law court decisions in the last 25 years, mostly in southern Michigan, where, there are suburbs that are adjacent to it. There was a firefighter who lived like 3 blocks from the fire station, but it was a different village, suburb,
Okay.
and therefore lost his job. He sued. For one time, villages, schools had mandated residency requirements.
Right.
Courts rule that's not in favor, but it is reasonable to assume that they were within a reasonable amount.
Okay.
And 25 miles has been usually the standard that the
I
courts
got
have.
So I just thought, does anybody want to talk about that? Are we happy with this, living within the county?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't want to go redrafting that thing over this, especially given the housing situation right now. I mean, 6 months to find a place to live is,
Well,
it's not always that
what
easy.
if the village manager were residing, sleeping in the county, while not having own a taxable piece?
No, there's nothing in there says you have to own anything. You can rent, you can
Just reside. Yeah.
reside in your place of residence is wherever you plant your flag.
Okay. Okay, I'm fine with it.
I mean, I agree, it's a long time, but I think that Will's right that under the current real estate realities.
No, I agree in terms of
Yeah.
buying someplace, but in terms of living someplace, maybe we want to shorten that amount of time to 3 months.
I think that it's just as hard to find that.
Okay.
And I don't think that, it's not saying that they're not gonna come to work. I mean, if you have to come farther because you have to come farther because you haven't found anything, that's on you. You're the one who's gonna have to get up earlier and stay up later, I mean, I'm
fine
just
with
saying, to me, it doesn't mean you're not gonna get here.
it. I'm fine with that. I just wanted to raise the question that Christie raised, that perhaps we should look at people who require people to live closer. I'm not ready to do that now. I'm fine with this.
Any other discussion?
Did you cross-reference with the purchasing policy on authorizing up to $5,000? I think we need to take a look at our purchasing policy and make some adjustments, because I don't believe that
It's
that's.
2,000.
I thought it was 2,000.
I'm pretty
also.
sure.
Let's amend that. So that
Yeah,
it's
so it's 2,000, I'm pretty positive it's
It is
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah.
And I think there's other issues in the purchasing house that need to be
Mhm.
revised.
Well, do you want to fix that one or this one? I think,
Well, the purchasing policy has to be redone because it was written before we had a village manager. So that needs to be updated to include the responsibilities of the village manager, and I think we can align it, but.
which do you want it to be, 2,000 or 5,000? 5,000 is high.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
me too.
2,000.
Change that dollar amount.
I think we should change it to 3,000, kind of split it. I mean, if that's a compromise, that's amenable to you guys. So you have to amend
Change
your
this
motion.
and then, okay, so, all right, so I move that we adopt the draft village manager ordinance with the correction in line 1 and changing in 32.06, section B, changing the number 5,000 to 3,000.
Support.
Moved by Susan, supported by Will, to approve the village manager ordinance with changes on the first paragraph and at the bottom of page 2, section B. Okay? Yep. So all those in favor of approving the village manager ordinance, say aye.
It should be a roll call.
Oh, okay, roll call vote.
Temporary
Yep.
ordinance.
Oh, gotcha. All right, starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes,
Hugh.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
And yes. All right, motion passes 6-0. Manager ordinance.
Okay, now approval of the manager employment agreement, and I believe Mr. Dyer is zooming in, is that correct? Jill?
It's right there.
He's there.
All right, so you all can see him? So as you know.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
He's little.
There. As you know, we did extensive interviews, and narrowed the list on the 2 candidates interviewed. Mr. Dyer was offered the position pending successful contract negotiation and background search. I can, please tell you, we did a full background search through the Bill County Sheriff's Department. There were no issues. And I called several of Mr. Dyer's references. And when he comes to the harbor, maybe we can watch this because his references say he can walk on water. They're all very positive. And the comment I heard even from some of his coworkers that they're bittersweet. They enjoy working with him. He's a great asset to the county. However, they're glad that he has this opportunity. So it's nothing but positive comments. And so I enjoyed that process. And then the village president, trustee Hager, and I met with, on the phone with the clerk, also with Mr. Dyer, about contract terms, kind of back and forth on some issues. Please now, again, your proposal is within the guidelines set by the village, and also does include the zoning responsibilities. And so that stipend was included in the salary. And we met again, was it yesterday, right? These days after a while, kind of worked in. I forwarded that to Ross Hammersley, who made the changes. And I appreciate his quick response to make these changes. So you have his final version that Mr. Dyer has, I won't speak on his behalf, but he has agreed to, I believe. And Jim, would you like to say some comments here before we go any further? I want to give you a chance to address the council and the people on Zoom.
I would just say that this was certainly a very difficult decision, and I've got my wife sitting next to me. She knows the extent that we discussed this with each other, and our desire to be in Leelanau County, specifically in Northport, is very, very strong. And but despite that, there's certainly personal considerations that we have to have regarding whether this move is even possible for us financially. And everything that we discussed, in the negotiations was something that was essential to my ability to take this position. And I just ask that you consider the contract as a whole, and that you consider approving it.
And in terms of starting date, just for people on Zoom, that's a lot of questions. And obviously, Ms. Dyer has to find housing, but we agreed that part-time starting September 1st, that we kind of hit schedule that for it. And the goal is October 1st. That's the goal, depending on once again, Mr. Dyer has to wrap up his current responsibilities and housing and everything. But that's the plan that we're working on. And that time is good because the ordinance that you pass has a 45-day window that it takes effect. So it'll take effect in September, so it'll be good time for that. And Jim, anything else you want to?
No, I just would like to tell the council, shortly before the meeting, I had a fairly lengthy conversation with the county administrator, and she's been aware of this, my application since the day that I applied. And I've been kept her informed of the process as well. And we have tried to think we have a plan going forward to replace me as quickly as possible, so I can assume these duties also as quickly as possible.
This one I would recommend to the council, I'm sorry, I will recommend the council that you approve the contract as presented, pending signature by Mr. Dyer.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Hughes, supported by Susan to approve the contract for Mr. Dyer, the village manager, on his signature. Any discussion?
So I just wondered, Chris, if you and Susan had anything you wanted to add, being part of the negotiations.
No, the negotiations went very easily. Chet led the conversation, posed questions. Mr. Dyer responded. We nodded or thought or said, well, are we sure about that? But it was very easy, I would say.
I have a question, and I guess I was being a little naive. Two things. First of all, I have heard from a constituent who thinks that the contract is too big for Northport, too much of an expense. Not that Mr. Dyer isn't worth it, but that it's just an awful lot of money. I was under the naive impression and maybe willful thinking that because the village manager, village administrator in the past did the zoning administrator job without an increased stipend, that that's why I said I would support hiring Mr. Dyer at the highest end of the set advertised salary, because I thought we were gonna get that ZA thing kicked in for free. And apparently that didn't happen in negotiations, and I don't know if that was never on the table or if that was just assumed. I just made a bad assumption, but I wasn't part of the negotiations, and I didn't know if that was something that Mr. Dyer requested or if you guys just offered that.
No, that was something that we offered because the position for village president didn't include the duties of the zoning administrator. And so the salary was set for the job as the village manager.
Okay, well, we gave you the authority to negotiate, you guys negotiated, and so I don't want to criticize you guys, and obviously Mr. Dyer's like saying, this is like, it can't be any less. I was a little surprised on the $200 for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that? Can somebody explain that?
Yeah, we did. His request was to have it at 300, but we negotiated it down to 200 because Mr. Dyer explained that if we want somebody who's going to be our village manager, who's going to be doing outreach in the community, but also representing us in places like Lansing when things come up, like to have the village manager go down and talk to our representative when we had this little acorns thing going on, to put a face on Northport and really be our chief representative.
And the alternative is, taking notes every day on how many miles you drove.
I was just curious where it came from, and that's fine.
And also Chet, I think Chet indicated that he had something like that.
Well, yeah, and it was a great amount, but I did do the research and we had a good dialogue about that topic yesterday. We actually spent quite a bit of time on that issue. In fact, and once again, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mr. Dyer, but that stipend that was out there for the zoning administrator was a major issue for Mr. Dyer that had to be included as part of this.
Okay, fair enough.
Because we were ready to potentially enter a contract with a third party to pay that anyway. If we would have hired a manager without zoning, we would have had to pay probably Mansfield and Associates a greater amount probably for the zoning.
I'm not trying to look a gift horse in the mouth here. I just was,
Sure.
I had
a
a false dream, let me put it that way. I do think we're getting a lot of value added by Mr. Dyer's legal experience and I was very happy with his answer, by the way, to my question. I don't know if everybody's copied. That was exactly how I was hoping he would answer it, and we're getting a ton of value added for that, which does make him worth more than a lot of people walking in the door.
I think the case can be made if you hired candidates B, C, or D, you would have had to hire a company to do the zoning.
Oh, for sure. And our legal costs would go up every month. And I think that just by answering simple questions without formally representing us, he can keep our costs with Mr. Hammersley a lot lower. So there's a net savings for the village there. That's what I've always felt like if we had a lawyer in-house. I mean, come on, that's money in the bank. So I'm done talking. I just wanted to, I had to say some things because I was asked to by somebody who voted for me.
And just so people understand.
I was hoping we were gonna get something for free. We didn't. It's okay.
I'm sure we've done a great job of zoning, but there's added value of someone here in the village.
Absolutely.
That people can come in and see every single day and get a response.
Okay. So one more time, it was moved by Hugh, supported by Susan to approve the village manager contract for Mr. Dyer upon his signature. Roll call vote starting with Susan.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Will.
Yes.
And yes. All right.
Welcome on board,
Motion
Jim.
passes 6-0.
Would you like to say anything here? Now, the council's voted 6-0.
I think as I said in my interview, this is a very exciting opportunity for me, and I'm looking forward to by October sitting where Chet is and working with all of you to get Northport to where you want it to be. I want to explore what that is and how you express that, and accomplish that with you together over the next couple of years.
Welcome to you too, Jeanette.
Yeah, say, thank you, Mrs. Dyer, most importantly.
I just want to comment because Jim and I have had quite a few private discussions back and forth. And one of the things I told him, and I've been very honest with everything, he's not coming into any surprises. There are many good people here on the council, great staff. I think there was just a lack of structure in place, and I think with Jim's leadership style and knowledge, and the people who are on the council and the staff, I think a lot of potential for the village. So he will not be surprised by anything when he starts.
The last thing I'd like to say is, welcome on board, but even though he's an intern, you're gonna have big shoes to fill.
I think we're about the same size.
10 and a half, it looks like. Okay, well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jim. All right, next up, we have our, this is his.
Yeah, Mr. Assistant, one of the first goals for Mr. Dyer was to try to find someone who wants to be office administrative assistant. Unfortunately, the job has been posted and we have not received any applicants for that position, which is unfortunate, and I think it's critical going forward that we do find someone.
It's mostly somebody to take meeting minutes.
Yeah.
That's
Very much
not
so.
an enviable job.
No.
So we posted in, overheard in Leelanau County.
The Rotary Foundation, which has 10 counties they
Yeah.
represent, Wheel Enterprise on
Website.
the website.
Yeah.
Any calls of just interest or nothing?
I'm just thinking, it's a perfect job time-wise for a mom who has all her kids in school. I'm wondering if the school would be willing to, because school's starting, to post it up there also.
Or put it in the newsletter,
I
school
think
newsletter.
we
I bet
talked
they would.
about that, maybe in employee relations, I don't remember, but we did
Is
discuss that finding someone with school-age children, the summer is not the best time, because the kids are not in school, so we may have some interest, but I think it's a good idea to ask the school.
Well, and I bet they put it in the newsletter. The school has a newsletter every week, so.
That starts soon.
We'll just keep
Yeah.
it on the webpage.
Back to school news, already scheduled.
Keep it posted and hopefully someone will reach out.
Okay, on the council vacancy, we did get one application. It came in last night, and you all have a copy of it.
Yes.
And she's here in the audience, Barb Conley. And so I don't know how you wish to proceed. It's up to you. How you wish to proceed in this.
I mean, so as the president, I would nominate Dr. Barb Conley for the vacant village council seat.
Second that.
All right, moved by McCann, supported by Hugh. Any discussion?
I'm delighted by the quality of the candidate.
Yeah, would you like to say that? Would you like to say that? I think it'd be appropriate.
Well, thank you for considering me for this position. I'm working with everybody. If you approve me joining the board, and I am a pretty hard worker, so I'm forward to that.
Excellent. No other discussion, so, yeah, exactly. So roll call, starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura.
Effective what date?
Oh,
As soon as she-
yeah, immediately.
As soon as she's sworn in,
Yeah.
which could be right now if you want.
Yeah, that's why-
No, it's been done before.
Yeah.
It has been done before.
In all seriousness, that's why I brought it up. because
Sure.
We do have
Yeah.
options. And
Yeah.
so, obviously, I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Change your seating arrangement.
I don't know
I
if you
think
want to.
that's
You can get
fine.
sworn in the next couple days.
I think if Barb is available to join us at the September meeting,
sure.
that
You
would
could
be.
swear her in so she could participate in the committee.
Committee meetings.
Yeah, so say, because we do have
I think
all
she would
three,
sworn in
yeah.
immediately.
It'd be Parks and Trails and Waterfront, are the
Monday?
two committees that Nancy sat on.
That's right.
Could you pick Monday,
Sure.
Sure.
which is the
7th.
7th,
Okay.
effective August 7th.
Saturday, I know.
Okay, 7th.
Okay.
Why you're in the audience?
So I'll amend my motion to appoint Dr. Barb Conley for the village council seat start Monday, August 7th.
I'll still support it.
Okay, thanks, you. So roll call vote, starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura,
Yes,
Hugh,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and yes,
thank you.
motion passes 6-0.
We look forward to getting to know you,
Yes.
Barb.
Can I just make a comment? Nancy and I have served together on the school board, and as you know, she's not in great shape. Probably cards would be good for her. If you have capacity to do that.
Speak to that later. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Chet's still rolling here.
All right, budget year last month, I think you all agreed that it made sense to move budget year from March 1st to July 1st. So in your packet, you have a sample ordinance drafted by the village council authorizing the conversion. I would suggest you postpone next month, and we need to have the details in place. I think before you vote on it, you need to have steps in place. So our clerk is gonna work with our auditor, Larry, to get the details. So the legal part is the ordinance, which is from our attorney, but the day-to-day things are the key. And I don't think you wanna rush into this one, make sure you have the right steps in place. So I'd recommend, hopefully next month, Joni can come with a detailed plan and have a better knowledge too.
Yeah.
We've been so busy with interviews and everything else, we just haven't had a chance to do that, but you do have the ordinance, you can look at it. But I suggest you just table it for next month.
Consider this the first meeting.
Yeah, first, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And,
Yep.
opportunity to vote.
But I think it does make a great deal of sense. Once again, it goes back to that 1895 law that was referenced in the past. Okay, email conversion, I hope all of you have your emails set up. We've been sending them to both emails, but it really would be helpful that you start using the village email system. On the website, those are emails that are listed, so people from public wish to email them.
They have been updated on the website?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody delete my NPVC,
So-
delete that.
And so this afternoon, I was using to both of them, you got them 2 times.
Right.
Going forward, you'll just get it at the village.
Okay.
All right, update on iPads, tablets, we talked about that, and long-term getting rid of all this paperwork and being able to access prior minutes and packages and everything. It was referred to the finance committee. Finance committee suggested, I think you agree to the concept, just whether you get iPads or tablets, and so I gave you the price for the iPads. Somebody researched the tablet part of it. You want to just give a brief update on
Well,
that?
the tablet part of it is a little bit less, but because of the potential for the security issues and the ease of the iPads, it doesn't seem like it's worth the money that we're gonna save, so. And it was suggested that since we're buying a lot of them, if we contact Apple directly, they usually will give 5 to 10% discount.
Okay.
So,
So you may know when you get Mr. Dyer on board, but that's on the side, but you did talk to someone with a computer background.
Yeah.
And really, that's, when I bought them for the commissioners, when I first came on, we did the same thing, they're easier to use and less chance of virus.
My brother-in-law works for Apple. I wonder if he could get the friends and family discount and what the maximum amount is. Maybe he can only buy 5 devices, but still, if we bought 5 at a certain rate and then the other, however many we need. I'll talk to him. I'll see what he says.
Well, I think it's still part of, well, you don't have to decide right now, but if you want to check on that and see if we get a price, I know, if you buy them
Yeah, that's
from Apple or any of the stores, it's exactly the same price. Which Apple does not have sales or discounts to the public anyway, but there may be some possible.
Well, there's definitely school discounts, yeah, so maybe they're saying there might be a government
Yeah.
discount, because I know that when you're a school, you can get, it's a pretty significant discount,
Yeah.
which is where NMC gets a big discount, so.
All right, it was suggested that we broadcast our meetings on YouTube, then upload the videos so people can watch that, and we're in the process of doing that, so, probably, quite quickly, they will be a special Northport Village Council channel. The way it'll work, if you just want to practice, just go on YouTube and punch in Little County Board of Commissioners, and you'll see all the meetings are there.
Yeah.
And they broadcast live, but also you can go back at any time and watch the meetings. And then when I was the county administrator, I actually got a report every month. It's amazing how many people watch those meetings. And it tells you what portion of the meetings they watch. Most people don't not watch the whole meeting, but it's a great service to have. If you're interested in one topic, you just go to that topic, you can watch that without having to watch 4 or 5 hours of meetings. But it's worked out well. So the person that is responsible for the county said she did that to work with Joey and help set up the Northport. As long as we have a Gmail address, which I guess it does have, it's quite simple. And so you won't get more of that. But for the public, you'll be able to watch hopefully live, and then if you're not available, you can watch it at your own leisure.
That's fantastic. The only thing people should know is that, like, if you watch the meetings live on YouTube as opposed to Zoom,
Yes.
you can't Zoom it, you can't speak.
That's
There's no two-way.
And there's a delay also, so,
Oh,
husband and wife one time were watching on 2 different devices.
oh, yeah.
And there's like a 7-8 second delay, so. Yeah.
More like 30 minutes, we have time to exit the building before the pitchforks start.
There you go. So anyway, you'll get more on that, but I think that'll be a nice service.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Keep people more informed.
On the MOI contract, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. It's been a very enjoyable experience. I told Mr. Dyer, and I told a lot of people, I had coffee this morning with some gentlemen and was giving a lot of praises to the village council and the employees here and so forth. But my contract does expire. It was fairly flexible. It was 3 months approximately. I believe it was approved April 13th. And so if you wish to be continued after August 1st, which it's after August 1st, I think just a simple motion extending it week by week. There's a clause in there you can cancel on a 7-day notice. Mr. Dyer coming in. I do have airline tickets to Seattle for September 15th for 2 weeks to babysit. And so definitely will be gone by that, but that'll be good timing because that's when Mr. Dyer is coming in. And then I do want to have a retreat at some point, whether it's September or October, it doesn't matter. We know the cost between Mr. Dyer and the council, just talk about board governance, and the role of the manager versus the role of the council, but also give you a chance to express your style, what you'd like from Mr. Dyer. Sometimes it's critical that the person coming in, whether it's a county administrator or a school superintendent or a village manager, is on the same page as the council members in terms of what their expectations are and how council members work together and what their expectations will be with village manager. So the informal retreat. I've done this quite a few times with different people coming from different organizations, and I think it's critical to do it at the beginning, not 6 months or a year. Just so.
Per his interview, as long as he brings his paintbrush to do those fire hydrants, I'll be happy.
Okay, that could be part of the evaluation process after 6 months.
Well,
The quality of the paint job.
should we discuss this first? Because I myself, and I don't know if we have the money, I assume maybe hopefully we do, since we saved all that money on can we, I would like to extend Mr. Janik's contract to September 15th. I think having him present while Mr. Dyer is beginning to work here and beginning to work part-time here would be a big advantage.
Why don't you make that informal motion?
Right, okay, I will do that. I move that we extend Chet Janik's MLI contract with the village of Northport until September 15th.
I'll support.
Okay, moved by Susan, supported by Hugh to extend Chet Janik's MLI contract through September 15th. Any discussion?
Go ahead.
No, you.
I think that including the phrase that either party having the option to cancel earlier than the 15th, if Jim is on board and they feel that 1 week working together is
Yeah,
adequate
I'm
for
very-
handoff.
And just so the public understands with
Yeah.
Mr. Dyer, there would not be a double dipping because his benefits do not start until he works full-time. So there won't be, where you, if he does work, you pay him a the stipend. And so in terms of the cost of the village, there, it should be within line.
I kind of like to leave the overlap up to you two, because,
Yeah. Like I said, this is more of a formality through that, but the dates can be worked out. As I said, I'm pretty flexible.
And the contract does say the option to cancel with 7-day written notice, so I mean, we could.
That's just a formality.
All right, so need a roll call for that then, or?
Money.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yep, all right, so, let's see, starting with Will,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and yes. Motion passes 6-0, extend the contract.
All right, keep going here, standards and practice. This came out during the SWOT survey where employees at Wells Council were talking about ethics policy. I kind of modified that to standards of practice. You approved it actually last month, but it was not unanimous. And really, to make it work, you really should have all 7 council members now that you have a 7th council member, now that you have an administrator coming on board. I would say you hold off on this. There's still some language challenges for some of the council members. So I said, I will keep working with those concerns. I'll talk to Mr. Dyer, but if we're gonna do it, I think it really has to be 7-0. But at this point, today, I would just say table that. We'll keep working on it. I'll get Mr. Dyer's input. Now that we have a 7th council member, should the doctor colleagues input, I hope we have a doctor that all of you can be satisfied with it. Yeah, moving forward. Because really, unless everyone agrees to it, it's just a piece of paper. So you're gonna really abide by something that everyone can buy. So I said, now we just keep working and use it as a work in progress. Everyone agree?
Yes.
Zoning administrators, I think you've dealt with that, and so I will contact Mr. Mansfield and thank him for his proposal. I thought it was a very fair and workable proposal, but it was always, and he knew this, that always was plan B. And we were upfront with him that if we hire someone that has ability, that would be our first choice. So he's fully aware of that. So, but I do want to publicly thank him. And he did spend a lot of time with Jody and I think put together a very thoughtful proposal that could have worked. So, but I will contact him and say thank you. On the welcome sign, I think Chris has given an update there. Mrs. Edwards signed the contract. Want to just give a brief update?
Just on Tuesday afternoon, Ms. Edwards and a couple master gardeners met and we're going over the layout of what we included in that sign site for as flowers and whatnot, well beyond my capabilities. So I think we came up with a pretty good plan. And right now, we're just waiting the poster set. And when Tom Woodruff gets the sign complete, we'll get it placed. There'll be a few more stones that will be set in that garden setting, and then they can get to work with the plan.
People can come and collect the stones that
If anybody can pick those up, I don't know. You know, one of the things I guess we didn't talk about is the cost of the new plantings. I haven't heard that, what the cost is gonna be, where they're gonna get these from. Each one of these gardeners had different ideas of what providers they were gonna get them from. So, again, I think it's
Gives them all the plan.
okay.
Yeah.
So, we'll see if the costs come in. I'm sure that the village would be willing to do that.
we can put it on the agenda for finance next week.
And maybe by that time, we'll have some numbers.
And this is a lovely way for the public to contribute to this. I mean,
Maybe,
people say, I'll buy the holly, I'll buy the guava,
maybe,
I'll buy the hydrant.
maybe some local gardeners would be willing to split some stuff and give it to the village.
And I think that Ms. Edwards had talked about doing that too. So
Okay.
I'm speaking on her behalf. She's got beautiful gardens there too.
I'd like to make a comment on this whole thing. The Webbers were pretty generous with donating property for all those years. I think we should have the clerk or somebody send a letter to them thanking them for the use of the property all those years.
I'm happy to write a note or
I'm
Johnny.
going to make a motion to that effect, we can just ask staff.
Well, we have an expert here who's going to draft it.
I'm happy to draft it. I think Chris should sign it.
Yes,
Sure,
it should be
absolutely.
fine. All right, just, anything else on that side? Okay, going forward, a couple comments from people on Zoom, that depending who's talking, where they're sitting, sometimes it's hard to hear people. And so Joni and I naively thought we could fix the problem ourselves, and we found some more speakers and splicers, we thought we'd just plug them all in and spread them out, and we spent, I don't know how much time trying to figure it out, and we finally thought we should get an expert involved, and we talked to our IT person, and the speakers we have, they were great singly, but you can't splice them and have them all work at the same time. So I don't think it's gonna cost that much. Let me look into a new sound system that we could put microphones maybe spread out and then towards the audience, so people can truly hear better. And also for broadcasting on YouTube, should have better quality audio.
It's weird, because the township has three, and they look exactly the same, and their sound is fine. And I mean,
Make a Bluetooth version.
that might be what's going on.
Yeah.
It needs
It
to
might
be
be a
already-
different model, and
Yeah.
it looks like it, okay.
We do have kind of an audio expert on board.
I know, I was gonna say, is anybody consult, we have on DPW staff a sound engineer
Audio engineers.
and electrician,
Wow.
so
Okay,
we
well,
might be able to do it
we'll-
in-house. We've been meaning to ask him, and it just,
Yeah.
keep forgetting, and it's just one of those
Put 'em
things, every time I see him, I'm like,
Yeah,
You have control.
we were convinced we could do it ourselves, and we tried every different method we could, and we got one working, another one stopped, and vice versa, we just kept going back and forth, and I said, this is crazy, so let's put it forward. Okay, so we'll come back with options here. On the college program, all of you received an email from me a couple weeks ago asking to review it, and comments, and we look forward to our consultant, and I've not received any. And I believe what we talked about is at some point have a special meeting, because this is a big issue, and have all the council members involved, and have Mr. Hamilton available to explain the options and so forth. So I don't know, look at a date right now, but Mr. Hammond said the sooner you can give him a date, the better it would be.
okay.
Question, if you had questions that you knew of,
Well,
it'd still be best if we get that. to
Yeah,
you
if you have
first.
questions, if not, he will review the pilot program.
I need to review it all again, because I coincidentally went sailing today with an attorney who does this for a living, for affordable housing, negotiates pilot and municipal hookups. This is what he does. And when I told him what we were going through, he's like, okay, you need to look for this and this and this, and I had no idea to look for that before, so now I'm starting fresh with new eyes. But yeah, and he also said I could call him anytime, which is a great resource. He's sort of in the family. Yeah,
So, as I think we mentioned before, the state of Michigan laws have changed on pilots.
Yeah.
They're a little more general now, and then you can customize projects to fit under the umbrella of the pilot. And so it is critical that at some point you make it some priority to have that meeting and review it. Be good to get experts who really know about it. It can be very complex and controversial. So if you want to set a date now, or you want to look at it first, or you want to just wait?
Ross said he's out of town right now. When is he gonna be back? And then maybe we could, like, have some potential dates that people could, agree to or not. I mean, I know, I'm just gonna say, my staff is starting to run away.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Laura's is too, as well, so I'm,
Well, why don't you look at your calendars, and we'll send a reminder to you, just send us a couple of dates that would work for you, we'll see if there's common ground, and we'll also schedule.
but well, and him too, if he's got any work
Yeah.
scheduled out already, anything that could conflict with him. Okay.
Only there may be people on Zoom wonder why there's a cake here. It's only for people who attend a meeting in person. And it's Joni's
Johnny's
birthday.
birthday.
Joni's birthday, so
The
the
smell of
sooner we get through the meeting, the sooner we'll have cake, yeah. We're still debating whether she's 25 or 26, so once we get that resolved, I'll give you an update. But we will have cake after the meeting. I believe that's it for me.
All right, thanks Chet for getting us through all of that stuff. Now we'll move on to committee reports. First up, employee relations, did not meet last month, so no report to be given. Other than we've hired a village manager.
Yeah,
So,
have multiple
That's
negotiations,
exciting.
discussions.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, we'll turn it over to Jane in finance.
So the minutes from the last finance committee meeting were in the packet. I can't find mine, but they're in here somewhere. And I don't think there was anything that we're meeting again next week, and I'm adding a list of things for the agenda in tonight's meeting that we'll bring back with recommendations.
Okay, any questions for Jane on finance? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to infrastructure.
Okay,
Laura?
my report is there. The minutes will be next week. I'm working on it this weekend because we just met last week. There are a number of things that I have on the agenda, so I'm not going to go through everything. One of the things I do want to be sure people are aware of is that we're going to change our meeting time and the day to the fourth Fridays now. It was the fourth Wednesdays. It's now going to be the fourth Fridays. We're going to try that at 1 p.m. so that it's better for Chris, and the day change is better for me. So the next regular will be Friday, August 25th, but we also are going to have a special meeting on Monday, August 14th at 11 a.m. That it's just going to be drainage. We are going to have our engineer from Preen and Newhoff in attendance via Zoom for answering questions. I am planning to visit members of the public that are within that district, which I've done before this weekend with the new plan to go over that. And that's what the special meeting is going to focus on, just so that we can try and move forward a bit quicker. Will in particular was what, when we have a month between, it just makes everything take longer. Then there's a few other updates on there. Chet was going to get with Chris to work on some of the GIS mapping to see if there's options for collaboration with the county or what he can do to help facilitate that. The things that are on the next are already on the agenda, so I don't think we need to go through all of those ones again, because we'll do them when we get to them. So that's it. I think if there's any questions. Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at the spring 2024.
Oh yeah, that was, I think, in your report too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the new snowplow truck that he ordered way before I was on council finally came, so he was very excited, but then it had to go to the outfitters to get outfitted, and they said that it won't be here until spring 2024 at the earliest. Because they're backed up now. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about it.
It's not.
So, yeah.
Else are going.
Yeah.
Okay. I just gotta check about that.
Yeah, it's sad.
Next up, we've got waterfront.
Waterfront does not meet.
Okay. Parks and trails, also no meeting. So, okay, next up, we've got our board reports, planning commission, Jane.
So we're still working on getting planning commission minutes prepared. We are going through the transition to the new leadership team, and we began work on updating the master plan at our most recent meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Jane? All right, next up is NLTUA. I did get you a report today for the meeting. Sorry I didn't get it in the packet beforehand. We had a couple meetings last month. Big things are we did approve a new financial analysis and rate study with Utility Financial Solutions. Dawn Lund, who lives in Leland, is the vice president and will be working with us on that. The cleaning of the pressurized main from the main lift station up to the treatment facility, that is PVC pipe, as noted in our last meeting, so that will not need the cleaning that was expected. This council did approve funds to be used by NLTUA for that, which will now not need to be used.
That's confirmed now, because we were going to announce it to the council until we had. It's confirmed.
Oh, okay.
No, so that's $100,000 we are not going to have to spend.
That's
Very good
$100,000.
news.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's
a
good
minimum
gravel.
of 100,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, like 150 maybe, so, yeah, it's good news.
I won't scare everybody, the potential is 400,000.
So,
Wow.
so that's good. And the last was the determination of connection fees, and who has the authority to do that. So,
We don't know.
yeah, and that's what we're finding out. Who would have, would it be NLTUA or the village for the potential project on Warren Street? And then we met with the county BPW to let them know they're going to get their bond payment, and all went well. So, any questions?
I'd just like to clarify, because I saw some questions, some puzzled looks. The question is who, if we are going to do, and this is an if, we're going to do a negotiated connection fee, who negotiates that fee? Is it the NLTUA or the village council? And since it hasn't, the statutes as written for the sewer never envisioned this plan, the only precedent is when the school renegotiated their REUs down. And we don't know, not sure who did that negotiation. We think it was the village because the NLTUA was in, but the NLTUA hadn't been really formed yet. So we're having the lawyers look at it. And it's not just the village lawyer, the NLTUA lawyer is also taking an independent view. So there's representation on all sides.
And their goal is they will jointly write out the.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, is
Yes.
this agreement, so that will be potentially eliminate any controversy.
Who is the NLTUA lawyer?
Tom Greer.
Tom Greer?
Yeah. IER.
Is the township attorney involved in this?
Great.
Way too cool.
He is the township attorney also.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, he's not.
No.
No, he's not. Never mind. So, no, because
Because the potential project is in the village.
it's in the village, and so the township isn't affected. We don't think.
Yeah.
If they suggest the township attorney should get involved, but
I mean,
at this point, it doesn't look like they're gonna suggest that.
Yeah, not for this particular, if there were to be development within the sewer district.
Right.
In the township.
Yeah.
They would want to know the outcome of the
Sure.
legal opinion, if not be involved in.
Well, yeah,
discussions.
they have an issue too, up,
Mhm.
on Woolsey Lake Road that's gonna be a mess, so.
Anything else? All right, thanks for helping clarify that too, Will. All right, next up, we've got our discussion potential action items. First up is application fee and escrow policy.
Do we,
Waiting for.
Yeah, we have sent all the information to legal counsel.
Okay,
We're waiting.
okay, so we'll just table that till next month when we,
we're carrying it forward on finance until we get an answer, so we don't lose track of it, but
sure.
We've prioritized this time.
yeah,
Yeah, obviously with the
yeah.
Natula
Yeah.
research and also the employment contract took priority.
Mhm.
Work on that first.
Okay. Next up, social district, really no new developments on that. I did speak with the owner of the Northport Inn, Linden, and he did wanted to offer their parking lot for a common area to be shared with the property to the south of that with Paul Penning. However, any property that would be included in the social district cannot have the common areas on their own property. He did, however, discuss, there was a discussion about the bathroom situation and helping, he also owns Williams Pumping. And so they have some of those fancier porta-johns, like a trailer unit that he would be willing to help the community with at a reasonable cost if we go that route. So there would at least be public bathrooms for users rather than having to go into all the businesses. Other than that, nothing, no updates. Any questions? Okay. Short-term rental task force. Assume we still want to go ahead with this, correct? I don't see any paper in the.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I sent it to, I thought I sent it to you, or sent it to somebody.
I did not receive it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's done. I mean, I did it right after the last meeting, but did not get transmitted.
Okay.
I regret that. I will resend it.
All right, then we'll bring it up next month.
Yeah. I noticed that there was a Facebook, Northport neighbors posting, asking a series of questions about short-term rentals. I just noticed it today, that, was posted by, Mike Stoffel. And I don't know if he would be interested in serving.
Okay, that's one of the,
Yeah, private citizen,
mhm.
yeah, that doesn't have an STR, because I don't think he does.
I don't
I don't think so.
Okay.
We've
Paid,
also had two other
Interested.
interests, yeah, citizens.
oh, okay, great.
Yvonne Nordstrand, she doesn't have a short-term rental,
But she used to.
right, but she
Yeah.
doesn't anymore.
Yeah, so that would be very interesting.
And
Sherry
Sherry
Edwards.
Edwards,
And Sherry Edwards, okay.
who does have a short-term rental.
Several.
Excellent.
Which is also great. That's what we want.
Okay, we'll move on to paving on Shabosong near school.
Yes, this is something that came up somewhat quickly to explain to everybody that on Shabosong Street, right below the old tennis courts, basketball court there's an area, a grassy area. Anyways, I've been looking at it for several years. It's kind of like no man's land. In conjunction with the water retention system, the stormwater recovery system at the school, I kind of fast forwarded, took it upon myself to take this area, remove the dirt and grass out of there. See if we could gain 2 more parking places and still remain within the proper distance from the fire hydrant. So getting us 2 more on that street, no parking is a premium in this town. And if we can do it, and I have talked with Elmer's Asphalt representative, and it'd save us a few $1,000s if we can piggyback it onto that project. So we're looking at about not to exceed $3,900, and I think we can do actually less than that. So DPW will prep it, as you see me out there digging. You appreciate this. I'm one of the stones from the old Methodist Church. So,
What did you do with them?
Gave them to the
Don't
public.
haul away.
so
I'll-
we've got
Oh,
it.
they're
We kept it.
historic.
We're gonna use them probably on the sign garden.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
used to be a church there.
Yes, there was.
When we were shorter people. So, anyhow, I seek your approval
Yeah.
for that, but I think it's a good investment, and the timeline is right.
I'll make the motion to expend up to $3,800 for the paving of the 2 parking spaces on Shabosong Street.
Second.
All right, moved by Will, supported by Susan to expend $3,800 to improve the 2 parking spaces on Shabosong Street. Any further discussion?
I mean, infrastructure discussed, we all agree that it makes sense, because people do end up parking there anyway. When it's busy, it's just that it's grass,
Mhm.
so it makes sense to, it's a weird section.
Believe me, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why are people parking? I mean, it's just, but this makes much more sense that the parking is gonna be extended all the way to the corner,
Yeah,
so.
and people can't open their car doors, on the, you almost have to get out on the street side, which is dangerous.
Okay, so, a roll call vote, starting with Will,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes,
Hugh,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes?
Susan,
Yes.
and yes. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, everybody. I will let the contractor know that it's a go for sure. So,
Okay, next up, we have plow for village truck.
yes.
This is a different plow for.
Different
not a
truck.
Different truck.
different truck.
This is for our small red dump truck. That is really kind of our go-to all-around vehicle. The plow that we currently have came with the truck in 2016. We cover 8.3 miles of road in this little village. You have to understand that 8.3 miles is multiplied many, many times how many trips we make cleaning up. Last year I did some extensive repairs on it, just that the manholes and the curbs around here, it takes a beating, and it's speaking from former experience, they're a wear item, and this one we just beat the life right out of it. I spent a couple days last year totally refabricating and welding it. So I'm like at a request for a new plow for that truck. Truck is still in good shape, will serve us well. And if we're not getting a new big truck, sure we need a new plow for this particular red truck.
And also the plow is interchangeable with the other equipment, right?
Exactly,
Yep.
yes, thank you. Now the price that I think I presented to you, I'm shopping very hard, but we are somewhat limited. What jobbers are available in Michigan for that product. So they're made in Iron Mountain, but there's only so many people that provide and service that. So hopefully we can find a little less.
All right, well,
Right now, it's at 11,363.23, right? Yep,
Correct.
so
do you want to make a motion?
make a motion to approve the purchase up to 11,500? Is that work?
Good, I'm gonna try to do.
For a plow, for the 2016 dump truck.
Support.
All right, moved by Laura, supported by Will to approve the purchase of a new plow for the red dump, an amount of $11,500.
Up to.
Not to
Yeah.
exceed.
Up to,
Yeah,
not to exceed,
exceed, yeah.
not to exceed $11,500. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote starting with Susan.
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Hugh? Laura?
Yes.
Will?
Yes.
And yes. Okay,
Again,
motion passes 6-0.
I'll do my best to give us the best deal.
Next up, we've got slide ends for South Beach Playground set.
It's me again, isn't it?
It is.
You're on fire here.
Sure. As we know that several of the slides, one particular slide we tried to patch last year that was broken by wear and tear. Subsequently, the two of them now have got cracks in them. So we reached out to the company, anyhow, to purchase. We might as well get the three. The other one's starting to show signs of fatigue. They've been there for at least 20 years.
I was gonna say 15,
Okay.
but it could be 20 times. slipped
Yeah,
away from me.
so anyways, it's about $2,200. I think it's $2,268.58
Mhm.
off my head. So would seek for approval on that, and then we would install those. That's something we can do in-house, and like to give them before summer's over.
I make a motion to purchase slide ins for South Beach, not to exceed $2,300.
Second.
Okay, moved by Hugh, supported by Will to purchase slide ends for South Beach not to exceed $2,300. Any discussion?
Is this equipment that is not going to be replaced?
Correct, it's the one closer to the bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's for
Got
older
it.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna remain.
Yeah.
This is a serious
Got it.
safety issue. We
Well,
gotta
yeah.
do this right
All
away.
right.
Yeah, to me, the sooner it's done, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, nobody's been seriously hurt.
We,
It's taped off, the one of them
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I was down
I
there
just,
last
yeah,
week.
my kids
Yeah.
do not, they've
but
climbed over
kids
it, yeah.
still disregard the case.
Sure.
6-year-olds.
Yeah, they don't see anything.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a limbo thing.
Yeah, it's an extra
Yeah,
challenge.
and we tried to, we really did try to fix it on our
Oh,
own. And
well, and it lasted all last summer, so,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
but
not that
then
it didn't
again,
do anything, so.
Hopefully the new product, talking with the jobber provider for these, they've reinforced that what it's doing is pushing out there. So, do that.
All right, so once again, moved by Hugh.
Yep.
Supported by
Will.
Will, to approve up to not to exceed $2,300 for slide ends at South Beach. Roll call vote starting with Will.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes,
Hugh.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
And yes. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you again.
see you again.
Count on finance committee meeting being
One more.
at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
We're looking at budget amendments
Yeah.
every which way.
Next,
Plows.
yeah,
I was gonna ask about that.
what's that?
I was gonna ask if we should talk to finance about the plow, because that's kind of a big one. but-
Yeah, it is,
We have
unfortunately.
Yeah, I talked
Yeah.
to Joni before we put it on the agenda, and there are some funds in the,
We may
where it needs, yeah.
need to do some shifting.
I'm just gonna have them ready for you.
And again, I don't want to exceed that. I'm gonna really try. I got two more options if maybe we can get it less.
Okay, next up, irrigation for Northport Welcome Sign. We've got a proposal, I believe that's what's in the packet tonight,
Yeah.
from Bella Irrigation. for, it looks like, $1,163.87 to be paid in two payments, one for deposit, then the balance, I'm assuming, is when the work is completed?
And then actually, I'm sure might chime in on this, the work is pretty much completed. It's in there, and then once the flowers are in place, he'll put in drip irrigation, so, I thought that was a pretty reasonable cost. And fellow seems really good to work with, very knowledgeable, so.
I have a question once we have a motion. So,
Do you don't mind?
How did you find this company?
I'll make the motion
Yeah.
so we can
Sorry.
discuss it. I move that we accept the proposal from Bell Irrigation in the amount of $1,163.87.
Support. My only question is this the same company that does their, okay, that's,
The same company.
I was wondering, because I haven't heard of them.
So that answers that question.
Well, yeah, because we don't want a different company
Yeah.
The
for the.
the same company that does what?
The irrigation that's already
Irrigation,
there
so
in
if
Sherry.
you have a sprinkler system, I don't know if you do, but they have to be blown out in the fall and then
Okay.
usually recharged. You don't want two different companies doing
Okay.
So yeah, it's who Ms. Edwards uses for hers, and since we're,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
dovetailing
that's the
into
only
that,
difference.
so. Very good.
All right, so let's see.
Water retention.
Yep. Well, I mean, you need
We
a roll
gotta
call
vote on
vote to
this.
approve this for,
The
so,
motion.
yeah, the motion's still on the table, so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So roll call starting with Susan,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Will,
Yeah.
and yes. All right, motion passes 6-0. Next up, water retention and rain garden, watershed center project.
So this was discussed in infrastructure, and the plans were in the packet. You have them there if you would like. It was presented by Sarah Uren, who offered to be here, but she was gonna have someone else come, but we don't need her. Because the plans are pretty clear. The cost, they're trying to tie in to collect rainwater runoff that's happening from the school and down Main and keep it from going into the bay. They're doing the whole school project right now. As part of that, because it's coming still down the road, what they want to do is have something at the base there. And they've been working with the homeowners in that location, but where the retention will be is in the right-of-way, the part that is adjacent to the road, but not the property owners. And that is so that if it changes hands, the property, it doesn't get disturbed or altered in the future. Those homeowners have offered and are willing to maintain the plantings so that DPW doesn't have additional work. The only thing that would be our responsibility in the future is if there was needing to be some rocks added or things like that, I think she was saying. But
factory.
yeah, but essentially there's very few costs and nothing up front. And it obviously benefits and is going to help remove water from running down into the bay. If there are questions, she was happy to address them and get back to us. But infrastructure was in support of this and excited to see it go forward if possible. We talked to her about when it might be able to be done if it was something that was approved, and she said that potentially the fall, but Chris wanted to be sure that it was after Uncaged so that that intersection wasn't disturbed during Uncaged. So she said maybe October then, but more likely probably spring of next year. But there would be no cost to the village to do this.
I'll make the motion that we approve the project presented to us by Sarah Uren for the drainage garden at Wakansu in Maine. At no cost to the village.
Second.
Moved by Will, supported by Susan to approve the rain garden project as presented to the council by Sarah Uren and the watershed. Any discussion?
I see a note saying remove and relocate Sky House sign. Is the Sky House sign on the right of way now, or?
Yeah, and it's
It
going
is,
to
oh.
extend, it's because it's gonna extend past closer to the walkway. There's also signs that would be removed that are village signs, but they would be put back.
And MDOT.
Yeah, and
So
MDOT,
we're-
yeah.
Be discussion with MDOT too.
But she's very aware of that, like, and has already talked to Chris about that, and that they would get put back where they
Okay.
needed to be.
The homeowner's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and the homeowner is fine with it, yeah.
Yeah.
The homeowner is part of who reached out to them to see if this could be included
That's
and
great.
tied in.
Very
Yeah.
supportive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super excited about it.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
they're doing a lot to
And
renovate
with
that.
the school, with the retention system at the school, it's really gonna reduce what we get coming down Main Street. So
Yep.
that's gonna have a big impact,
Yeah.
positive impact. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This really is a freebie.
Oh, it's, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it is, and in fact, she even did mention that there may be some project, or some money left in their grant monies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I've
I
been
don't wanna
talking to her
speak-
about other
Yeah.
drainage. Yeah, I know, she
you don't wanna
isn't
jinx
sure,
it.
but I am pursuing and have
There-
been in communication with her about, other projects.
We don't have to keep it a secret. There's a chance we could get a little bit of money for 4th Street.
Yes,
Correct. Cool.
You know, so that would be.
well, and I already spoke with her about it
Good.
back and forth twice.
Good.
So, and she's supposed to have an answer, if there's money left by August 7th, before the special meeting.
bonus
But
is
again,
something.
once it goes out to bids, it goes into the green sheets, goes out to bid, and then have to see what they come back.
Well, and they're still in the middle of this project, so it is possible that they could have some snag that changes everything, but they had asked for more grant money because they expected it to go up in cost, and then it hasn't gone up as much as they thought, so it's possible.
And just this section that's outlined here on page 2, will that be torn up and then re-asphalted to,
Yeah, on that corner, that, what we call beehive.
Yep.
Catch basin, yes, that'll be eliminated, won't say eliminated, modified.
okay,
And then, so that water would go down into that retention system, so.
excellent. All right, so it was moved by Will, supported by Susan to approve the water retention rain garden project as presented to the council from the watershed. We're not spending any money.
No, so
Correct.
just.
So, yeah, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes.
I'm the one that has strong money.
Okay, next up, we have a Citizen of the Year discussion.
I have someone I'd like to nominate.
That's
I'd like to nominate Nancy Peterson.
who I was planning to nominate,
Yeah, I think for all her years of service on the school board and for her service to this council for as long as she could, I'm gonna get emotional,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my
I'll
nomination.
support that. That's a
Yeah.
good choice.
Yeah, moved by Will, supported by Hugh, to nominate Nancy Peterson for Citizen of the Year. Any discussion?
I just want to say that I also, I strongly support that. I think that she would continue giving everything she could give. She did that as long as she possibly could. Barb is correct that if you can send her cards, her favorite flowers are daisies. She isn't up for visitors all the time, but you can always text her and see if she's available to chat. But she is still very much Nancy and providing advice and support as always, even though she's the one who needs it. So
I saw her on the beach this evening with her family in a chair with a big smile on her face, so she's still with us.
yeah, her impact is significant, and I think that it would be great to recognize that.
Absolutely. She's been a very big part of this community since they moved here, and I think this is a great way to honor that.
In the past, they've done this on the 4th of July. How would we do the presentation to you?
So we could do that in music.
Music in the park.
Yes.
Yeah, let's,
That'd be
yeah.
appropriate.
yeah.
Who's gonna inform, assuming vote, who's gonna inform?
Laura, would you like to?
I
let her know?
absolutely can, yes. I talk to her a lot.
I know it's about, and yeah, and Laura's the one who brought this
Yeah,
to me and asked for it to be on the agenda, and I think it's totally fitting, so. All those in favor of Nancy Peterson being Citizen of the Year, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. Next up, we've got the payment of the bills.
I move we pay the bills totaling an unbelievable $458,547.67 when funds become available.
Support.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fuel expense.
So moved by Susan, supported by Jane to pay the bills in a total of $458,547.67. Any discussion?
I have a quick question, hopefully it's quick. The Prina Newhoff 4th Street, 816, is that still part of the contract that was approved before, that's for 4th Street stuff? I just wanted to be sure, because there was a little bit last month too. It's not that I don't want to pay them, but I want to be sure that it's not incurring new things, because this is, I mean, the project they proposed, the one they propose now, I mean, these changes are based on Eagle, so I just want to be sure that we're still not exceeding what we had approved earlier, because to me, when you read the scope of work, what we're doing is included, so I just want to be sure. Okay,
I just want to clarify for the public in Zoom land that it sounds like a lot, but most of that is, or a huge chunk of it is fuel expense, which we actually make money on, so it's, you gotta spend money to make money. It's good that it's a high number.
The 293,000 though is for the marina project.
Well, that's, and then there's that,
But-
yeah.
But we
we're
do
getting,
Which
get
also is
some
getting
we're getting reimbursed for
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, 100,000 on fuel.
That's it.
Okay, roll call vote, starting with Susan.
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
and yes. All right, pay the bills. Next up, we have our second public comment. Again, 5 minutes. And please your name and address for the record. And if anyone would like to make a public comment, either in person or in Zoom, I'd be happy to recognize you. Okay, hearing no takers, we will move on to our council comment. If any council members would like to make a comment.
I would like to say, just for the public's sake, and I know Will put this on Northport Neighbors, that the report did come back from the engineering firm in Traverse City regarding the future of the dam and the mill pond, and the, as expected, the proposed costs, or not the proposed, but the cost that they estimated for dam replacement, including downstream culvert replacement, which they said is necessary, is $910,000. So close to the million that I think Chris first estimated last summer.
So that's money for the dam.
In addition, the report gives us a cost estimate for removing the dam and, quote, restoring the stream. Also with culvert replacements, that's about 1.1 million, more expensive than replacing the dam. But the report makes clear that little to no money would be available, grant money would be available to cover the cost of replacing the dam, and a lot of money would be available to remove the dam, although we still might have to cover, it said 25 to 50% of the cost, depending on what we do and what we propose. So the report is on Northport Neighbors.
The link to it, it's a link to our Dropbox.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it does seem to work, so people. I
So
was
it's
worried about it.
available for anybody to read, and we'll have to figure out, the report just arrived a couple days ago, so we'll have to figure out what to do next.
Yep,
Yeah.
and we'll be discussing it infrastructure. We have it on the agenda every month now, so that we're, planning and looking at it, but we needed this report back. So there's a lot to look at for there, because there's additional, there's a lot of different funding sources that people have been suggesting, and private citizens are working on as well. So there's a lot to consider and look at. In addition to the report that I just got it today.
Yeah, it's a lot, it's a hard read, I haven't got it.
I haven't been able to read
It's
it
a
at
lot
all.
to digest.
It's a lot of it is pictures and diagrams, so
Yeah.
it's,
A lot of hydraulics in it, and,
Yeah.
So we should do that.
But if I can say on that, is that talking with Dan Devon, lead engineer on that, at this point, we have, as a DPW, have just held off on doing anything until we get back. The next move really is to determine what we want to do. Our thoughts are, all we want to really do at this point is to repair the concrete, the existing concrete, the hydraulic concrete repair, and get the stop logs back in. In the report, he talks about overtopping and whatnot from your events. No, I'm not an engineer, but been here a long time, folks, and we've had 100-year event rains. We've had 4.5 inches within 2 hours. It's never overtopped, it's still standing. Again, we watch it, we regulate it. I live 363 feet from it. So it's monitored, and I guess I just want to emphasize the fact that you folks as a counselor need to make a decision of what we want to do, how we want to move forward off center, so we can get it to the state and let them know, because that's where we're at now. The ball's back in our court. So that's something that I want everybody to read it, think about it, ask the questions, and then infrastructure. That's something we want to make.
Yeah, so has this been forwarded to Eagle yet, or not yet?
Eagle has it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and that's why I was a bit confused, and Chet and I spoke. I thought right now we were waiting for Eagle to make the next move. They want to know what our intentions are.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's something, you want infrastructure, talk about it, and you can bring
Yep.
something back
Yeah.
for next
We'll
month,
dive
just sort of
into it.
discussion.
maybe we can have Dan Devon on board.
Yeah, I can talk to you and we can figure out for infrastructure.
That's all I had to say about
Any other council comment?
Just, I'd like to, again, looking forward to seeing Jim and Barb at our next meeting, if not sooner.
Okay. Anything from this end other than that? Okay, we're at our last item for adjournment. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Let them eat
What about the
cake.
cookie
There's
girl?
cake here.
Let's quit recording.
You want a cupcake?
Oh, yeah, we did. Stop recording.
Jim, you have to take one before you leave.
Joni, can we stop recording?
Jim wants to say something.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll just see in September is all I was, I'm gonna try.
Hey, that sounds like a song.
Look forward to it.
It's not the recording.
No public comment.